XBat HiveMind combat aircraft, full capabilities breakdown. What if a jet could lift straight up from a space no larger than a pickleball court, travel more than 2,000 nautical miles, carry the same weapons as an F-35, jam enemy radar like a Growler, and fight entirely on its own? That aircraft already exists. It is called the XBat. When most people hear the phrase unmanned aircraft, they picture something small and cautious. They imagine a drone circling slowly overhead, sending video back to an operator far away. Some think of a missile truck built to fire once and disappear. Those images make sense. They no longer reflect where military aviation is heading. The XBat does not fit that picture. It uses a full-size fighter engine. It climbs into thin air at high altitude. It carries serious weapons and enters contested airspace expecting radar and missiles to meet it. This is not a disposable system. It is built for repeated missions and long reach, shaping the fight before manned aircraft cross a border. That shift forces a new look at air power itself. For decades, aircraft depended on large bases, long runways, and predictable lines of support. The XBat follows a different approach. It operates from launch sites that would never qualify as airfields. It does not require a pilot in the cockpit or a remote operator guiding every movement. Once the mission begins, it executes on its own. That alone changes how commanders think about exposure and risk. Before examining how it fights, a simpler question deserves attention. How far can it go? Range turns a tactical platform into a strategic one. The XBat has a combat radius of roughly 2,100 nautical miles. That figure places it firmly in fighter territory. Many vertical takeoff systems are confined to short distances near the front line. This aircraft can launch from a dispersed pad, travel deep into a theater, complete its assignment, and return without tanker support. Combat radius is more than a distance marker on a map. It reflects endurance across an entire mission cycle. An aircraft must depart, transit, remain on station, fight if required, and still return safely. The XBat was designed with that full sequence in mind. High-altitude cruise supports that reach. Operating around 55,000 feet, the aircraft moves through thinner air where drag is reduced. The engine burns fuel more efficiently at that height while maintaining forward speed. Greater range follows without excessive fuel weight. Missiles also benefit from altitude. Weapons launched from higher and faster positions retain energy longer and travel farther. A natural question follows. How does a vertical launch jet travel that far? The answer begins with its engine. The XBat uses the GEF-100, the same engine family found in the F-15 and F-16. Tens of millions of flight hours stand behind that design. Its performance record is well established. Many newer unmanned systems rely on business jet engines. Those engines excel at steady cruise and long endurance. They are not intended for sudden bursts of high thrust or the stress of hard maneuvering in combat. The F-100 offers afterburner power and rapid acceleration. It also produces significant electrical output. Modern combat aircraft depend on onboard systems that demand energy. Radar, electronic warfare equipment, secure communications, and advanced computing all draw from that supply. The XBat requires ample power to operate its sensors and autonomy system without compromise. Electronic warfare forms another critical part of the design. The XBat carries an integrated electronic attack suite capable of jamming enemy radar and disrupting targeting systems. Its mission overlaps in many respects with the EA-18G Growler. The Growler operates with 2 crew members dedicated to managing sensors and electronic attack. The XBat performs similar tasks without a crew on board. Even after releasing its weapons, the aircraft retains value. It can remain airborne, continue jamming, and gather intelligence. The mission shifts from strike to persistent support without returning to base. All of this would be less meaningful if the aircraft depended on traditional runways. It does not. Full three-dimensional thrust vectoring provides control across multiple planes. The absence of a pilot removes physiological limits such as blackout from high G-forces. Maneuvers are governed by structural and aerodynamic constraints rather than human tolerance. That freedom enables aggressive turns and precise positioning during vertical recovery. Vertical landing addresses a long-standing weakness in air operations. The XBat lifts off and returns vertically under control of its thrust vectoring system. A small prepared pad is sufficient. The deck of a large ship is sufficient. A cleared patch of land away from established bases is sufficient. The aircraft can be stored and transported inside a standard shipping container and deployed wherever that container can be placed. Launch points are no longer limited to to a few well-known airfields, they can be dispersed across a region, relocated when needed, and concealed among ordinary infrastructure. An adversary searching for one primary airbase instead faces numerous potential sites. This concept developed from earlier work. The XBat traces its roots to the smaller VBAT system. VBAT proved that vertical takeoff and tailsitter transitions could be executed reliably in operational settings. It flew with the Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. It also demonstrated navigation without dependence on GPS in degraded environments. The defining advance was not the airframe itself, but the autonomy behind it. Engineers focused on creating a system capable of making its own decisions once airborne. The XBat expands that foundation. At the center of the aircraft sits the HiveMind autonomy system. It functions as an onboard pilot rather than a remote control link. The system is mission-oriented and has been tested in both simulated and real-denied environments. Navigation without GPS, threat avoidance, and time-critical decision-making fall within its expected role. Traditional drones rely on continuous data links. Operators monitor video feeds and issue commands. If the link is disrupted, performance suffers. The XBat operates differently. It does not depend on constant joystick inputs or uninterrupted communication. Sensor data is processed on board. Options are evaluated. Actions follow within the boundaries of the assigned mission. That autonomy draws strength from its sensor suite: multi-mode radar, passive detection systems, electro-optical sensors, and electronic attack modules feed information into the onboard system in real time. Each source contributes to a broader operational picture. When multiple XBat aircraft operate together, that picture expands. Data is shared across the group. Electronic effects overlap. Radar signatures can be manipulated in coordinated fashion. A formation of 5 aircraft functions as a network that observes, assesses, and responds collectively rather than as isolated units. Practical results follow. False targets can appear on enemy displays. Defensive systems can be confused. One aircraft may track while another prepares to engage. Decisions are distributed rather than concentrated in a single cockpit. Firepower remains central. Internally, the XBat carries 4 AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles while preserving a low observable profile. External hardpoints allow precision-guided bombs, long-range cruise missiles, and anti-ship weapons when stealth is less critical than payload. Its capacity places it in the same class as established fighters such as the F/A-18 and the F-35. Flexibility defines the difference. One mission may involve air-to-air escort, another may focus on ground targets. A separate assignment may center on suppressing air defenses or gathering intelligence. The aircraft shifts roles without redesign. Speed and stealth interact in careful balance. The XBat cruises near Mach 0.85 and can dash to supersonic speed when required. Continuous supersonic flight would consume fuel rapidly and increase radar visibility. Short bursts of speed improve missile launch conditions. Missiles gain advantage when launched from high altitude and high speed. A brief acceleration grants the weapon greater initial energy. After release, the aircraft can reduce speed and return to a lower signature profile. The relationship between the XBat and the F-35 clarifies its role. It does not replace the pilot in the Lightning. It changes the structure of the engagement. An F-35 operating alongside several XBat aircraft gains extended reach and added protection. The unmanned jets scout at altitude, search for threats, and apply electronic pressure. They can engage first when conditions warrant. The pilot retains responsibility for overall mission judgment. Precision strikes and final assessments remain under human control. Risk is shared across multiple platforms rather than concentrated in one cockpit. Air warfare under this model becomes layered and less predictable. Fixed runways lose central importance. Launch sites multiply. Aircraft operate in coordinated groups. Survivability improves through distribution. The broader implication is clear. Airbases are no longer defined solely by geography. Mobility replaces permanence. Decision-making occurs within networks of machines and people working together. The battlefield grows more fluid and less anchored to specific locations. The XBat does not remove the human from air combat. It reshapes the environment around the human. Air combat under this framework becomes more adaptable and more difficult to neutralize. If this discussion has been useful and you would like to see more careful breakdowns of emerging systems, consider subscribing. Share your thoughts in the comments. The conversation about autonomy in combat is only beginning. I will see you in the next one.